What's going on, guys? Welcome back, and today I've got the final part of the Blood Ravens diorama that I've been building up for you these last few days. Now, this project has been big. It's been a big project. I wasn't expecting it to sort of suddenly reach the scale that it did. That's mostly with the ground forming and the terrain that I built for it. But anyway, so this video is going to be painting up the terrain, finishing off the models, getting it all assembled, and then having a look at the overall picture for the story that's been written here. And the story has been copied and pasted from the Dawn of War, but the snippets that I've taken, I tell you what, I've really fallen in love with how this has ended up. I've just got to take a moment just to say, guys, can you please like, comment, subscribe, and share my videos if you're enjoying them, because if you are, I'm sure someone else will as well. Rightio, here we go. So, the first and only time that I'm going to be using my airbrush for this model is to prime the base, because you can do this with a rattle can very easily, but it's just easier for me to keep it all up where it is and just use my airbrush. So, but you can use standard paint, or you can use rattle can. It's totally up to you. Right, so now what I'm going to be doing, everything else is going to be done with brushes, so no advanced technology required here. So what I've been doing in the background there is in my cup I've put some airbrush thinner. You can use water, you can use airbrush, it doesn't matter really. I just like the consistency that I get with airbrush thinner. I've put it into this cup. I'm going to add some dark colours into it and make it grey. And I'm going to start with that. I'm going to get my rock textures done first. While it's all wet, go into doing the mud textures as well, just to really blend it all together. But I want that rock to look like it's the base for the faces of this cliffside here. And the best suggestion I can give you with this is just go crazy. Literally just go crazy. Do what you want and let the painting almost guide you as to what's happening next. I put a lot of mud textures down later. I put some inks on just to let it run down and to sort of almost give it like where it might have rained on this planet. So that will give it a natural mudslide down, and it means it takes a lot of the thinking out of the process, and it does it all for you, and then you can follow that process. And while we're on the subject of just going crazy and letting things take you where they want to take you, anyone out there that has an idea for a diorama and they've been sitting on it, they've been looking at it, they've been thinking about it, another suggestion that I'm going to give you now is just one day when you sit down to do your hobbying, just start. It sounds redundant that I'm saying that. Like, oh, well, yeah, obviously just start. But really, I wouldn't have made my first diorama if I hadn't have just one day just gone, okay, I'm just going to make it. I'm just going to start and see where it takes me. I had no plan. I had an idea in my head that I wanted to put down and create, and I just went with that. Some dioramas I spend lots of time mulling over and planning, and even in those, I just let them take me where they want to take me. I will have my plan, my parameters and my guidelines down, and then anything after that, if I suddenly notice something that is going well, I will lean into it, and that will then might become the main focus of that model, of that diorama. And that's the joy of doing these, is you can start and you can have a plan and it will still look like the idea you set out to start, but it will look better because it's something that you didn't quite plan on doing and it's still come to life. So if you have a diorama that you want to build, honestly, just one day when you sit down to do some hobbying, just start with the base, and then once you've started the base, you will want to finish. You'll want to get it completed, and once it's all done, you are going to be so chuffed with yourself. And even if it doesn't come out perfect, you've still got the models. You can always just pop them off the board, remake the base, and stick them back on. It really is that simple. And then if you just decide, actually, I'd rather have the models, pop them off, stick them on bases, you're still good to go. Anyway, I hope that helps anyone sort of get over that trepidation of starting a diorama. Any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to help down in the comments. Anyway, on with the build. So this next step that we're going to be doing is dry brushing over all our different textures. So that's dry brushing over the stone and dry brushing over the mud. Once we've done that, we're then going to come in and add some more mud textures into it, because I believe there's no such thing as not enough mud texture, and it just really brings up some sort of nice textures, and it gives it a lot of variety. It makes it interesting to look at, instead of, oh, it's brown, it's darker brown, and then a lighter brown. So that's just a personal opinion. You can do it, you don't have to do it. It's there if you want it. So when painting up this Wraith Knight, the main gain to it was for it to have that sort of bony, Wraith bone sort of texture to it. But there's a lot of flat panels on this. Now, I'm not saying flat as in flat as a sheet of paper. They're curved and all sorts, but they're very flat. There's not a lot of texture to them. So what I ended up doing was, with the top layers, was dry brushing. And I sort of tried to keep almost like a hatched sort of way to doing it. So going diagonal left to right on one layer, then right to left on the other layer, to try and give it that sort of that texture, to make it look like it was that bony sort of colour. As I was trying to keep it in with the Dawn of War game trailers, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I can't say I want to go out and buy another one and do it all again. No, do not mistake me there. After a while, I just sort of think, I was like, there's not a lot of colour. It's just black and white on the ones in the trailer as well. So I did add, for his sort of like his soul gem or his soul stone, I decided that was going to be the one in the centre of his chest, and I painted that one red, and then I painted some of the other ones yellow, and I popped some green into there. Yeah, just to liven it up a little bit, add some interest, add some colours. But again, when doing these things, that was sort of a spur of the moment decision whilst painting up, sort of thinking, I don't want this thing to look like a Dalmatian, basically, just black and white and spotty. Just in case you're wondering what I'm up to here, because I super glued him down onto the board, I should have pinned him. I actually later went back in and pinned him because, well, I quite easily knocked him off. So, don't always assume that super glue is your friend, and I quite commonly, normally I usually pin these down onto the board, but yeah, I thought I'd try not to on a rather large unstable model. Idiot. So anyway, what I've done is I've put some more mud texture around the base of his feet just to stop that super glue frost from showing up, and then I'm blending it all in by adding it to other areas of the model and other areas of the base, just so it doesn't look out of place, the fact that he stood in two mud puddles. Basically just camouflaging my shoddy workmanship on attaching him to the base. Ooh, so we're getting super close to everything being finally finished. We're just going to add the two not so alive blood ravens, and this is the one that I'm going to be calling Scully Scott, for obvious reasons. It's a recent nickname. He hasn't had it that long, mostly since he passed away. And then I'm going to be adding two-part Tom, and that name should become apparent in a moment. Scully Scott, 2-part Tom. Yeah, you're laughing. I know you're laughing. So, once they're down, I'm just going to get them involved in their environment a little bit more. I'm just going to throw some blood for the blood guard around 2-part Tom. And I'm going to splatter some onto the wall around him as well, just to make it look like that when he was ripped in two, it got everywhere. Then once that's done, we're pretty much looking at just putting the tufts on, and once that is completed, then it's ready for the reveal. Guys, thank you for coming with me on this mini journey. This diorama was requested by a commenter and I've really enjoyed it. So any other suggestions, please put them down in the comments. And more importantly, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.